Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Get the feeling now. Hit 'em high, hit 'em low. 'Cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got. 'Cause we're ready.
This is the Piffles Podcast, your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast. Thanks for joining us here this week. You got me, I'm Alex.
I'm Steve.
And I just wanted to thank the CFL and the Riders for giving me a nostalgia moment. Friday night was like going to bingo with my grandma in the mid-90s. Just sitting around wondering when anything was going to happen and probably doing a lot of damage to my lungs.
Hacking along the entire way. Are you smoking yet? Yeah, that was a night. We're going to talk about that night and the following day. It was quite the weekend in Riderville last weekend. Give us a follow on social media. You know where to find us. Anywhere you find Piffles Podcast, search us up. Even on TikTok now. I did another TikTok today, guys.
Oh, I need that as a banner, I guess. I suppose.
Yeah.
You talked the ticks or whatever the
Yeah.
kids these days say.
I TikToked for a whole minute.
Ooh.
And last I saw, there was some views. So it's working. It's clearly working.
Yet again, shocking that anybody watches anything we do on purpose.
The fastest growing middle-aged football talky guy TikTok.
Middle-aged? I'm the oldest one. Am I middle-aged? Oh, my Lord.
Are you the oldest one? I thought I was the oldest one.
I'm older.
Oh, yeah. You got your I'm a man, I'm 40.
Oh, yeah. Years ago.
That's right.
Years ago.
Next year for me. I'm just a pup. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcasts, watching on YouTube or SaskTel Max TV on demand. Piffles Podcast, of course, is brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina. We're also proud to be sponsored by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's Tactical Laser Tech Experience, Bigfoot Vodka, and Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas. I don't even know where to start with this last Rider game. Do we go in chronological? Wow. Do we go in order? Chronological. Do we go in order and just start with Friday? Is that where we're going to start? Or do we want to talk about the game itself first?
I think we just better just get it over with. That game was, we won't have a lot to say other than PU, I think. So, probably.
All right. Well, let's get right to it. Time for the opening kickoff. So the game itself, the first play was awesome. AJ Allen getting an interception on Vernon Adams. That was fun. After that, the game sucked.
Well, no, we got that fumble in the second series.
Yeah, I guess so, but they were still giving up 80 yards on that drive.
And Brett Lother made a field goal.
Also missed a goal.
We jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Like, just stop the count.
Oh,
the game was already going on for like 20 hours. Just stop the count.
The good news is if it was one of those 2-possession shootouts that they talked about on Friday night, we won.
Yeah. See,
so
the
I think the game should have ended.
Favor.
Yeah, I think the game should have ended there. By CFL policy, we won on Friday night. Give us our 2 points. Sorry, on Saturday, I suppose.
Saturday
afternoon, yeah.
Yeah. More about the policy, but the game, not fun. Good start with the interception and then the fumble recovery on the next drive. But we'll start with the offense. The whole first half, Trevor Harris could not move the ball. They could not get in any kind of rhythm. Nothing happened. They just looked so not disinterested, but they just had no answer. And it stems from the O-line. Like I was on the Stampeders Roundup podcast on Monday night. And you got to give kudos to the Calgary Stampeders. Their defense came in and just dominated that game. And Trevor Harris had no time. The offensive line was awful. And that really set the tone for basically all of the entire game.
Yeah, Daniel Johnson definitely looked like a first time tackle that game. Anytime I looked up to see who was who led up, so Harris was under pressure. Usually Johnson was chasing after him, so that was a bad sign. But kudos definitely has to go to that defense in general. Like, what was it? Actually, if you 16 rushing yards, there you go. It's on our ticker. 16 the entire game rushing yards. Like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? That was pathetic.
After
And Harris couldn't find a receiver either, unless his name was Joe Robustelli. So
the problem for me was the 16 yards in rushing. We have the league's leader in rushing yards, a guy who's averaged over 100 yards a carry, and they just could not get him going. And they completely abandoned.
that's impressive.
They abandoned the run in the second half. I don't know if they got more than 1 or 2 rushes in the second half. I realize game script played a bunch into that, but he was not part of the game plan at all. And that's down 2 scores early in the third. That's not a big enough deficit to completely abandon the run game. But
Well, they
did.
definitely pulled AJ in the second half for Kadeem Carey, and maybe that was to see maybe like a change of pace or whatever. Just try something just to get that running game going, but he couldn't get anything going either. It was not good.
And that comes down to the offensive line. We've seen them block so damn well to start this season, and this game, for whatever reason, did not have it. Now, obviously, missing Trayvon Tate at left guard was a big thing. Not that, I mean, Zach Fry's been in games, and he started a handful of games last year and didn't look bad by any means, but it just seemed like this was the one injury that the team just couldn't afford to have. And we saw what happened. That whole line, everybody just looked bad. I don't know. Yoshi didn't have a good game. Brammer, they couldn't run on the right side. They couldn't block on the right side at all. And it was, again, props to Calgary's D-line, but the Riders O-line gave them no help whatsoever. And it's not even like Calgary was blitzing all the time. It was just constant pressure in Trevor Harris's face. He had no time to do anything. There was no time, like the nice thing about the Riders run game over the last few weeks has been the patience of AJ Ouellette to follow the blocks. There was nothing there. These guys were in the backfield before the handoff was even made. So I'm hoping it was just that one-off game that they just had because the whole week was screwed up because of Friday night. But the Riders were the ones that looked like the team who got split up at night.
Stuck in dorms.
And were stuck in dorm rooms and different across the city and outside of the city as well. Like, they looked like the ones who had no idea what was going on.
Honestly, if you look at that offensive line play, we really have to take a step back and ask ourselves, does Edwin Harrison need to be fired after that performance? Also, anybody listening, please know that is pure sarcasm. But off games happen, and I think a big part of it is that complete flip, and the Riders just weren't mentally prepared, because you did see them come out in the second half and at least move the ball, defend well. They played better after those adjustments, but it looked like they needed that first half to almost wake up. And that's a concern. If they couldn't get ready for a game of that magnitude early in the season, you got to start wondering why.
And that's the funny thing, because our knock on the Corey Mace teams over the last couple of years is they don't make those changes in the second half. This is the game they made the changes and kind of clawed back, because they were 90 yards in the first quarter alone, total offense, and by the end of it, Harris had over 400 yards passing. So obviously they figured it out, but it was ugly. And even the defense, get well Tevon Campbell, Antoine Brooks looked good in that one interception, but they tested him. He was Donovan Alexander this week. He was getting absolutely just hammered on all game.
Well, he got torched on that 81-yard touchdown by Damian Alford, who has turned into all of a sudden just a beast for the Calgary Stampeders. Great pick at number 1 overall. He had himself a hell of a game.
Well, we
Anytime
should have known that number 1 pick would have been fine. It wasn't made by Hamilton.
But anytime Alfred got the ball, was usually over top of Brooks anyway. That was such a mismatch, just height wise.
Well, his first touchdown was just a big catch, and then he had another deep catch that was just call them grown man catches, where he just went up and just grabbed the ball and hung on to it as the defender. Like, the defender was there.
Brooks had the ball in his hand. Brooks literally had the ball in his hands, and Alfred just went, nope.
Yeah, just a great play. So,
yeah.
I mean, Calgary made plays. Let's be honest here. We can't just say the Riders gave them the game or whatever. Calgary took advantage of what the Riders did, and they made a lot of really good plays. Vernon Adams, I mean, you don't throw for 400 yards without doing something right here, right? So it just comes down to that Craig or Corey Mace defense.
Well, I know the funny thing is, the few times where they actually had Calgary in trouble, it looked like Vernon just threw it up and his receivers found the ball. Like, he just threw up a couple moonshots and his guys literally ran under it. When we had them deep in their zone, it was like 2nd and 18, and we had pressure on him, he just threw it to a spot where the Riders defense wasn't, and his guy ran to it. It was ridiculous.
You mean the middle of the field where they were open?
It was so predictable.
Long?
Yeah. Now, this one was more towards the sideline, actually. I do remember that because it wasn't at the middle. It was like, oh, he's throwing it away. Nope, there's going to be a guy there in exactly now. It was just ridiculous.
But to the point of it being 2nd and long, and I remember feeling, oh, great, Calgary's going to get it, or at least they're going to get it to within 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, because that's what the defense did the entire game. And sure enough, there was a 20-yard pass on that. Like, this soft zone defense, and I know it's not going to happen, but it has to change. There's got to be some sort of alteration to what's being run right now, because Drew Brown threw for over 400 yards. This one, Vernon Adams, over 400 yards. We saw Nick Arbuckle put up 300 plus or whatever he threw against the Riders. This defense is getting picked apart. They have great playmakers. I think the Riders are very strong in terms of individual players. I think the schemes that they're running right now are putting them in poor positions, and they're relying on getting fumble recoveries. And you can't run a successful defense, relying on getting fumble recoveries, especially when you're not getting pressure on the quarterback. They're getting such inconsistent pressure right now. And I know it shows in the stat box that Shane Ray had a sack in this one. That was because Vernon Adams fell down. He gave himself up. Where's Shane Ray been all year long? He's not standing out to me. The ends aren't standing out to me, and the D-line's just not. They're just not performing how I think they should be with the talent that they actually have on this D-line. And Corey Mace's defense, we've talked about it. If you're not getting pressure, you're getting eaten alive. And the Riders have been fortunate to play some backup quarterbacks to start the year. Any competent quarterback is going to go in there and do exactly what Vernon Adams did to us this past Saturday. Pick you apart. Nathan Rourke, look what he did last week against Edmonton. If you could put the number at 405, I'm picking the over. He's probably going to throw for 500 yards against this defense. Like, it's just something has to change. And I like Corey Mace, fantastic person, fantastic coach. Is he in over his head as defensive coordinator as well too? Because whatever he's running is not working right now.
I got no problem with the soft D if it actually starts biting down on those
phrasing.
True. on those 2nd and longs. But when you have a 2nd and long, why are you backing your guys up 20 yards? They don't need 20 yards. Like, just go up closer. Like, I don't understand why you don't, like, adjust the throttle on stuff like that. Like, yeah, if you want to back off and give a guy 5 yards, give him 5 yards. But why are you giving him the, like, first down yardage when all he has to do is turn and catch the ball? It makes no sense. Like, your guys shouldn't have to be playing that deep. In regards to too much for him, I don't know. Sometimes this defense looks really, really good, but like you're right, if you live and die by trying to get turnovers, the Riders were winning the turnover battle until they turned over the ball due to loss of downs because they were trying to get back in the game. Like they were winning that turnover battle and still getting destroyed. So they needed to figure something out by then.
And those drives on offense, once they finally got going, obviously that Joe Robustelli touchdown to start the second half, they made that drive look very easy. And then of course it was,
One play and then
one play later and the game was
matter.
over again, right? But the offense did finally get going. What do you think about when because it was a 2-score game instead of kicking a field goal? Did they do the right thing by going for it on 3rd and goal from the 9 or 3rd and 2 from the 9, whatever it was?
I keep going back and forth on this. I'm like, at some point you got to get touchdowns, so you should be able to get that. But why, when you're 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, is it Harris out there? Like, he ain't going to. He tried to scramble. The pressure got to him. Like, why aren't we going to Tommy in that situation? Like, why aren't you putting your big boys out there and running some like play action option play with Tommy? Like,
See, if that would have been the play call, I would have been okay with that. But I saw a lot of people saying, why wasn't Tommy in there? Well, because they weren't planning on running the ball. They were clearly going to throw it. So you're not going to put Tommy Stevens in there. It just happened that Trevor Harris had to scramble because pressure was there.
Oh, I agree. But I think at least with Tommy, you run the appearance that you could run it. Like, at least you're making the defense second guess themselves. They see Tommy out there, they're going to assume it's a run. And so if you run an option on it, you got options. That's why it's called an option.
Well, in a game where we had completely abandoned the run, like you said, it would have given that at least minor perception that there was the possibility of anything other than a drop back from Trevor Harris. I hated that play call, especially with how much pressure Calgary's D-line put on us play after play after play. And you knew they were bringing the house there. It's 3rd and goal from the 3. What else are they going to do? And we just weren't prepared for it. That to me was the backbreaker.
So I know it's hindsight now. Thinking about it, damn, would have been nice if they kicked the field goal there, down by 11. Later in the 4th quarter when they're driving, going for it on the 7 or 8 yard line. Damn, instead of going for it, they could have kicked a field goal, been down by 8. All of a sudden it's a 1-score game. So again, hindsight, but I wonder if that's like the way that the defense wasn't able to get any kind of relevant stops. Like time of possession was just ridiculous for Calgary. They were just getting chunk yards after chunk yards, getting first downs and first downs and first downs. That clearly the confidence wasn't there in the defense to get a stop when they needed it. So I get obviously going for it on 3rd down both times that they did, but I mean, like I said, hindsight, you kick those field goals, all of a sudden that end of the game is drastically different than what we saw.
Not much different if you look at the miss by Brett Lawther in the 3rd quarter. That was the backbreaker, because if you make that field goal, all of a sudden we probably do take the field goal even from inside the 5 yard line, and it's a 1-score game there. Even if we miss there, you take the field goal from the 12. Like that's been the problem so far this year from Brett Lawther's misses, is we've won in spite of them. And this game, I think we lost partially because of them. Yes, the rest of the team didn't show up either, but that second half is completely different if Brett Lawther makes that first field goal in the second half.
No, this was a full team effort loss. Like,
for sure.
No doubt about it.
Except for Joe Robustelli. He gets off this game. He gets no criticism this game.
None. What do they do when that receiving core gets healthy? My God.
Well, we're going to talk about that in the game preview coming up, because there might be a guy or two coming back this week. But yeah, I'm glad you talked about Lothar's misses because the second one, obviously, or at the end of the game, that was going for it for the season series and point differential. So I know people were asking why was he out there kicking it. Well, that's why they only play Calgary twice. So
Now we got to beat him by 15.
Now we got to beat him by 15 to have the tiebreaker. So that's what that was about. And
the good news, it'll be a home game in Calgary, as Rider games always are.
But just that game sucked. There was so much wrong with it, except for Joe Robustelli, the breakout that we've been waiting for. First couple games that he started didn't have a lot going on, but this one, wow. I remember, I think the stats, I don't have the stats page in front of me right now. I think the CFL stats still has it at 11 catches for 191.
They do.
And a touchdown. He had 11 for 191, but on the very last drive, he did have a 22-yard catch as well. And the PA announcer even said that's over 200 for Joe Robustelli. So a 200-yard effort by a guy who literally nobody knew about outside of Saskatchewan going into this game. That was something else. So
so he
great for
robusted
him.
out.
Sorry?
Or this would be he robusted out this game?
Yes. It was a very robust effort.
Well, you saw glimpses of that last game with that catch on the sidelines that should have been a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah.
That he made a hero catch on. You could feel this coming from him. Maybe not to this extent. Nobody expected a near or potentially above 200-yard receiving game. You never expect that in the CFL unless it's Kenny Lawler against the Riders. Again, we'll talk about it later, but what an embarrassment of riches. And this is now the 5th game where a different receiver has been the go-to guy. And that to me is what makes this offense move, is that there isn't necessarily a number one guy. It's any guy can have a game like this when you have Trevor Harris at quarterback.
They're still saying Lawler's 207 yards is the most this season for receiving. So, because that 22 yards would have put him over.
Well, that would have put him at 213.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the official all compiled week 6 stats. So either they need to go back and fix it, or they're just ignoring that last catch.
I mean, it's the CFL. I wouldn't be surprised that they're just totally just messing it up. The one thing I did find funny is the CFL's honor roll came out, and the Riders had 3. Considering how bad that team was, had 3 players on the honor roll with Trevor Harris as the top rated quarterback, but I guess Vernon had those intercept.
Yeah, I was gonna say the interception didn't help him.
Robustelli as a receiver, that's not really a big surprise, but then Jackson Ford as well on special teams. So I guess there's that. So yay us.
Got to take the little victory for a butt kicking like that.
Yeah, and with that loss, final thought on the loss before we get to the actual debacle of the postponement. 1 loss, 4-1. Obviously, not everything's the sky isn't falling or anything, but are you guys worried about this loss going forward against BC?
I'm worried about the Riders' zone defense. That to me is the only concern I've got. The rest of the team, it's an off game. Off games happen, but that defense has been a consistent issue since week 1 and something they need to figure out. You cannot rely on turnovers. I know we did it last year, and yes, it worked to an extent, but it works until it doesn't. And this was the game it didn't. At least it wasn't a West Final yet.
Honestly, I think when I mapped him out, I'm pretty sure I had him at 4-1 at this point. Wasn't losing to Calgary, I guarantee you that, because I think everyone had them as the worst team in the league this year.
Yep.
But unfortunately, no one's going to go undefeated in this league. You're going to have bad games. Let's hope this is a bad game and not the start of another 7-game skid where we're screaming next Tuesday going, what the hell happened to this team? I'm not concerned, I think they obviously have the players. It's just a matter of coaches need to put them in positions that are better suited for their skills. And right now that's not happening with some guys like the defensive line, some of the defensive backs, and obviously injuries right now is not great for us either.
Of course, Mario Alford getting hurt in this game as well too.
Oh, Dante Myers looks so lost back there.
Yeah.
he like, don't get me wrong, Calgary's returner was having himself quite the moment as well. And wow, I wish we would have jumped on a few of those. But yeah, Dante Myers looked absolutely lost out there.
Kudos to the Riders PA announcer for calling out the Stamps kick returner with he finally caught one.
Oh yeah, he dropped one again. Oh yeah, Daryl really kind of was roasting him. I was like, wow, that was kind of mouthy.
I did not catch that live. That's funny. Good for him. I like that.
That's a Mooseman boy for you right there.
Of course he is.
Only good thing to ever come out of Mooseman that isn't Red Barn.
Perfection was born there. Easy now.
Let's see, wait, wasn't Ferland? Oh wait, wasn't Greg? Oh wait. Yeah. Now for the gong show that was Friday night when the game was supposed to be, the postponement. I will say this. I feel for the out-of-towners. I really do. Who wasted not just the money, it's the time as well to leave, come to the game, not get a game, and go back home or scramble to find accommodation so they could stay for the next day, whatever. I feel for them. I really do. To me, the big thing was the lack of communication that the fans got. There was nothing in the stadium. We got our announcement at 7:00 saying the game was postponed or it was going to be postponed for 45 minutes, so till 7:45.
That came in early because that was before I even left to the stadium. So.
Yeah, that was around. I think that was around 5:00, 5:30,
something like
that, whatever it was. So there was that. Okay, that's fine. But then there was nothing. We didn't find out anything.
Well, so I walk into the stadium and then I went to Coney Island because I was working all day, so I didn't get a chance to eat supper. So I went to Coney Island and I look and I'm like, the 30-minute clock is set. Game's supposed to kick off in 15, and that clock ain't counting down. So they know the game. Yeah, they know this game is being delayed longer. They just haven't told anyone yet.
And the teams hadn't come out to warm up yet. And there were so many clues that I'm in there early. I'm always in there like 90 minutes before kickoff. And it didn't clue into me until that same moment where you look at the clock and see that 30-minute clock just sitting there. And then I looked, I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't they warming up? What's going on? Nothing is how it's supposed to be. And wow, did that ever turn into the truth?
And then we got one announcement from Mark and Sabine saying, we don't have any updates. We'll give you one when we get one. And then that was it. And then there was nothing until 10:00 when they said, we're going to give it till 10:45. And if there is no game by 10:45, or if they're not going to be able to come out for 11:15, like we're calling it at 10:45, then the game will be postponed until tomorrow.
Whoa, nothing. We got Mark and Luke Wilson in a pass, punt, and kick competition.
I had better things to do than to watch that.
We got an early concert.
That was fun.
That was nice.
It was good. We got the cheerleaders doing one of their routines.
They got the full song too.
Yeah, they got the full song. We got, what else did we get? We got a lot of watching just the screen.
Godfrey Onyeka throwing passes to the stand or into the stands.
My favorite Onyeka, even though he's wearing the wrong colors. He's now my new favorite Onyeka again. It was a lot of just sitting around. Everyone's going, have you seen anything? I don't know. People checking their social media. And it was like...
And that was the problem. There was nothing from the league itself. There should have been... I know they're busy trying to figure out accommodations as well, too, for Calgary if they have to keep them overnight, which Calgary was supposed to charter back on Friday night, which actually some of the fans that were there were on the charter with the Stamps, and they did not have a place to stay. So I can imagine that the Stamps and the CFL and the Riders were trying to all scramble and try and find a place for not just the players, but these folks as well too. So I understand that priorities are there and trying to get everything set into place that they have to. I get that. And of course, that is the priority. But when you're not going to have an update on anything, that is the update. Every 15 minutes, 20 minutes, no longer than that. You got to get it to the PA guy. We don't have an update, or to Mark and Sabine, whoever, it doesn't matter. Someone with a microphone, get it to them saying, we don't know yet. Just be honest. Transparency. We don't have an update. We're waiting for the smoke to roll out. Stick around if you can.
They probably should have gave it to Daryl, because at least no one's, well, they'd boo him, but you could tell Sabine was not prepared to be booed in that situation.
The best was Sabine telling people to wait.
Yeah.
Please wait. I'm not done yet. She
Well-
got her mom voice on. It was great.
Well, it was also hilarious too, because I'm just chuckling because I'm like, she reads the bad news and Mark gets to give the hope speech. I texted Mark, and I'm not the only one to do this. It was even funnier. He goes, I texted him like, that's a vet move, giving her the bad news so you could look like the hero at the end. And he's like, you're like the third person to tell me that. But and then I had to laugh because he took the bad news at the end of the game. But the fact remains is, yes, that's their job, but also they were put in a bad situation, because if they would have kept like regular updates, like, hey, we'll check in with you guys in 15 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever it was. Even it's like, hey guys, we're still waiting. Hey guys, we're still waiting. It's better than hours of nothing and people just losing their minds, because that's what was starting to happen. And the worst part is, because you had the radio shows, both radio shows were still going live for 7 hours on it. Sports Cage was going, Green Zone was going. They were filling airtime in, sometimes commercial free, because all the ads were already paid for. They were going to give it away for free. Are you kidding me? But
Meanwhile, TSN went to a best of
yeah,
some random crap because they couldn't be bothered.
Man, I'd be copy and pasting 5 minutes of commercials in there.
yeah. But the fact remains is, but here's the worst part is, Sabine and Mark had to wait till the very last minute to let everyone know. Meanwhile, if anyone was actually like following their social media, both Luke and Dave were like, well, Suits and Dusty just packed up their stuff. They left 10 minutes ago. So obviously the game wasn't going. Like, what was the delay? Like, the fans should have been like the first ones to know.
And that was the funny part. It was, you could literally time it by your watch. 10:45 clicked, and Mark and Sabine were out there saying, "Yep, the game has been postponed," as if we all didn't know that, because TSN had already wrapped up their cameras and were moving them away. The benches were starting to clear. Fans knew before they told the fans, because for some reason they had to wait until the last second to share. Like, that was to me, that was the biggest issue, was the complete lack of respect for the people in the stadium. And there was a lot of us still there at 10:45.
I still can't believe how many people stayed that late.
Kudos. I don't want to hear any crap from people about Rider Nation after that. There was probably into the 5,000 to 10,000 people between the stands and inside the concourse, and they were living their best lives despite the team not being cheap and not doing the $5 beers. Although, in fairness, $5 beers for 3 hours would have been an absolute disaster, but it would have been a funny disaster to watch from the outside.
Yeah, just a gong show. But kudos to Craig Reynolds following that. When you watch his presser, I think that's the most genuine that anybody in the CFL's been over the last number of years about anything. You could tell he did not enjoy what happened. I mean, obviously he was
getting emotional.
Yeah,
like, and not only just because it was not only because it was a bad situation to happen, but he was actually, you could hear, like, when he was talking about the fans that stayed.
Yeah.
And you could tell he felt bad not getting a game out there for them, but how much it meant that they stayed because they wanted to be there.
Yeah, like it was in financially it's everybody's interest to play the game that night. And obviously it didn't happen, but I think the rider, and especially the team coming out on the Saturday morning, I think I got my email at about 8:00 in the morning saying, we're going to get something for you guys. And season ticket holders getting a $50 voucher to the rider store for every, ticket that they have.
But what about the non-season ticket holders, Alex?
Hold on.
What?
There was another email, Steven.
Are you sure? Because non-season ticket
I didn't
holders
get it, but
too.
Yeah. But season ticket holders get their $50 voucher per ticket, which the team didn't have to do. This was an act of God. This was nothing that the Riders had control of. The league had control of things. The league decided that this game wasn't going to be played, not the Riders. And I understand it's easy just to get bad at Craig Reynolds because you don't like him. I get that's a thing here in Riderville, but that is very misguided in this situation. The fact that they gave, what was it? 27,000 tickets were sold for this game, season tickets and single game tickets, $50 vouchers for season ticket holders, giving free game tickets. Let's say that even averages to $50 just to match the season ticket holder prices. That's $1.35 million that the Riders are losing out on now, that they're giving back to the fans.
And do you know how much in the black they were last year? like that's not nothing.
That's their full year profit.
Yeah, and to hear people complaining about I'm like, what else do you want? Like, I don't get it.
Didn't need to do anything. They offered the one thing that they should have, which is a refund or a credit for the account if you can't make the game. We understand the postponement. If you can't make it, contact us. We'll get you your money back. That is all they had to do. They didn't have to add in a free game for single game ticket holders. They didn't have to add in a $50 card to the Rider store, but they did. So kudos to Craig Reynolds and the Rider organization for doing stuff like that, because they're taking a huge hit in their revenue because of this, all in the eyes of good PR. They didn't need to do it, but they did. And that buys a lot going forward. So kudos to the team for doing that. I certainly wasn't expecting anything. Am I happy? I have 2 season tickets, so I'm getting $100. Yeah, I'm probably going to go get an Obsidian jersey now.
And that's why it works. Because everybody's going to take that $50 and or the free game tickets, and they're going to come buy a shirt or a whatever at the next game. From a business perspective, it's great. And from a PR perspective, it's even better. And the best part was the speed at which they got it out.
Yes.
They got ahead of this because you know that they were in those meetings. If the game was canceled at 10:45, they were already talking about this at 9:30. Like, what do we do if this doesn't happen? To have that information out by 8 a.m. the next morning shows you how on top of it they were. And kudos to the team. Like, I'm with you. I didn't expect anything. We're so used to the polar opposite, and we've been on this team for years about it. This in this instance, they get an absolute kudos, pat on the back, high five, whatever you want. They handled this as well as they could. Yeah,
thumbs up of approval.
Okay, but the thing is though, like, that is good. Yes, the thing I'm most impressive with is how fast they turned everything around as best they could to put on a game at 2:00 the next afternoon. Because you had staffing, you had not every food stand was going to be able to go, because Lord knows Coney Island wasn't going because they sold a ton of poutines the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, drinks, volunteers, like, people had lives. Like, people did not plan to spend 8 hours at that stadium over 2 days.
Staff in the store, you're probably paying overtime as well too. So how much besides that $1.35 million are you losing out in revenue by giving back vouchers for tickets and Rider store cards? you're also paying for wages.
The band has show up twice.
Yeah, like you're you're paying a lot of money here, and all that just to put on a game. So they did a great job. They turned it around very quick. In terms of the actual, like I don't even know how to word it, but they did a wonderful job. I think the Riders as an organization did a wonderful job in a really crappy situation. So
just need to improve communication. That's all they need to do.
And to me and again, I think that's on the CFL level.
I agree. Yeah, that was a league problem because the Riders were very good at communicating. Like I said, 8:00 the next morning, we all knew what was happening. So
yep. Well, that was a fun start to the weekend anyway. It was something wild. You can argue all you want about whether the game should have been postponed or not, and they've played in fog and big rainstorms and everything before.
If we go on the complaints of the reason why that game was paused because of smoke, this will become an R-rated podcast because I will not be able to censor myself.
And almost every one of them was coming from somebody who was watching the game on TV on their couch.
Yep, 100%.
But we walked around out in that smoke all day.
Obviously, they don't care about the cheerleaders or the fans. I'm like, oh, no. People can leave. People had the choice to leave the game. They didn't have to sit there. I didn't have to sit there. But we could leave. The players have a union. When the fans have a union, let's have that conversation.
We should start a union. That's a great idea.
Can I be Test?
Yes.
Okay. Who's Ken Shamrock?
Steve?
He is in the zone. Or he's frozen, one of the two.
And then that makes me...
Big Show or Mankind, one of the two.
I'm not that big, so I guess by default that makes me Mankind.
Oh, I just missed a wrestling conversation while I froze.
You didn't miss much, right. Steve. I'll be honest.
Do I ever?
Obscure wrestling factions in the mid-2000s.
Oh, beautiful.
Wonder what DOA is up to now. That was the opening kickoff presented by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level. Let's get to Banjo Bowl Bus. That's next on the list. The Banjo Bowl Bus that we're putting on, sponsored by Engelheim Tours, District 306, and Creasy's Premium Home Leisure. A couple weeks left to get on the list here. We got to know numbers by August 1st, I believe it is. So if you're on the fence about going to Winnipeg for the Banjo Bowl Bus, let us know. We'll get you there. $450 per person, to and from Winnipeg, 2 nights hotel. We're going on the Friday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Game ticket, tons of prizes. A fully customized Rough Rider jersey is the grand prize on the bus this year. We'll pick you up anywhere on the number 1 between Regina and Winnipeg. And we're just going to have a blast. So if you're on the fence, please let us know. Email us, pifflespodcast@gmail.com, or just send us a message on social media anywhere. If you have any questions about the trip, we'd love to have you, or we'd love to answer them, and we'd love to have you on board. So join us in Winnipeg because it's actually a lot of fun.
Even though it's Winnipeg.
The one time you can say that about going to Winnipeg on purpose.
Yeah. Let's do Remember That Guy, sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tech experience. The who's who and who's that of Rider history.
Yeah.
How many Van Stones is your?
See, in my mind, this one's a 2, but I tried to word the question so it's at least a 3 or 4.
Okay.
All right.
Let's remember that guy.
Former Langley Ram of the CJFL. So not Dennis Kyle.
Andrew Harris.
No. And Harris was a rebel, not a Ram. Signed pro contracts in Scotland twice. Has called Ottawa, Hamilton, Vancouver, Edinburgh, and Vegas home. 2-time Grey Cup champion, 6-time Division All-Star, two-time league All-Star, World Bowl champion, but he lost the Canadian Bowl in the CJFL.
World Bowl. What happened?
I don't know. What is
What is Steve? You've been having issues all night long.
The IT guy on the team having tech support problems. What a surprise.
My apologies for my head being so big on the screen there for 2 seconds there.
And we just lost
I've never had that problem.
watchers we have.
Yeah. Okay, 202 career rushing yards. Nope. 5-time rider, 3,149 points.
Oh,
Paul McCallum?
McCallum. Yeah.
And before
Is it?
2009,
Yeah.
everyone knows where they were on November 14th, 2004.
I was at the casino watching that one.
I was at the Owl.
I was in my living room. I'll never forget this. 2004 West Final. Remember how you used to have chats on MSN with people? Remember MSN?
Oh, yeah. You go off and come on just to.
Hopefully your crush notices you.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, I just popped on.
And they never did, ever.
Yeah.
Not once. I was chatting with my friend Derek the whole time, and you would update your status all the time. Yep, going to the Grey Cup and all this kind of stuff. And yeah. It was a good thing my mom was working that day. I was just a wee lad at home that game, watching by myself. There were some choice words that were said that probably would have gotten a bar of soap in my mouth at the time. That was not. It was fun, but it wasn't at the same time. That's what that whole night was.
I could legally drink at that point, and I'm really glad I could.
Yeah, I was at the Owl, and there was some. It was a Sunday night, but the bar was hopping for some reason, so the dance floor was going. They literally shut off the music because they had the game going the entire time, and they realized he makes his kick, riders are going to the Grey Cup, so they shut off the music. Yeah. But anyways,
I have a very rational hate for Duncan O'Mahony.
Yeah.
This Jagoff couldn't hit a 40-yard kick to save his life in the regular season.
No,
Awful kicker. Hits 250-plus yarders against us. Are you kidding me?
Well, he had
that guy. I hate Duncan O'Mahony.
He had that beard as a counterweight. It wasn't fair.
I hope bad things happen to that guy. Like nothing serious. Like I hope his shoelace is untied and he trips and falls and scrapes his knee and then just gets up.
I hope he gets a mild cold, but knows it's from us.
Yeah, like that's the kind of things I wish happened. I cannot stand Duncan O'Mahony. He's up there with Spurgeon Wynn in my mind.
Yep.
As worst human beings on this planet.
I thought my Danny Machocha hate was irrational.
I hate Duncan O'Mahony. Man, that guy couldn't hit a kick to save his life. And then he hits those two. Of course, the 50-plus yarders. And back then, 50 yarders weren't a gimme in the CFL.
Yeah, they meant something back then. Yeah,
that was a tough kick.
And meanwhile, our Mr. Automatic essentially shanks that short one. And
it wasn't the hold. I'll tell you that. It wasn't because of Dennis Giles' hold.
Of course, it wasn't. But anyways, back to hold. I want to mention some other cool things about Paul McCallum. So the reason why he said he signed 2 pro contracts in Scotland is because one was a soccer contract. He went after high school, went and played Tier 3 soccer professionally in Scotland. And then he came back home, and then that's when he played for the Langley Rams. And then later he went to Edinburgh to play for the Scottish Claymores of the WLAF, where he won the World Bowl. And then I think I should thank him for this. He was the one who fought for CGFL players to be able to attend CFL camps.
Was he?
He was. Huh. So yeah, cool. he ended up on Hamilton's nag list actually because of that. And obviously he didn't land there, and then he went to BC, and then Ottawa, then Saskatchewan, and then BC, then Saskatchewan, and then good old, and of course, who could forget his name on his XFL jersey, CFL reject.
Was it?
It was.
Man, forget. I don't even remember the guy's name, but he
He
hated
hate
me. Forget that guy. This is way better.
CFL reject was on the
I
back.
forgot
of
he
his,
was in the XFL.
Yeah, with Vegas. Yeah, he was with He Hate Me.
Yeah.
Rod Smart.
Totally forgot about that. Good one on that one. Remember that guy, Paul McCallum.
A run of
T-Rex
kickers
arms.
lately. Is Brett Lothar next?
Maybe.
Can Paul still kick? Do we give him a call?
Paul, I want to look at a house, and I need you to come kick for us.
I mean, we were looking at dinosaurs on the field in Edmonton kicking field goals in their halftime show for their prehistoric game theme.
I almost made a Paul McCallum joke.
I was going to say, I wonder about this dinosaur.
Him, his little T-Rex arms.
Good one on Remember That Guy. You totally got me on that one.
I can't believe he's a 5-time rider. That's got to be a record. 5-time rider and 4-time Lion? 4-time Lion.
Dave Ridgway was only, what, a 3-time rider?
Yep.
6-time Lion, 5-time rider.
Jesus.
And then 1-time Rough Rider, because he was also a Ottawa Rough Rider.
Ottawa, yep. Paul McCallum on Remember That Guy, sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience. Oh. Let's get to our Churchill Brewing Company odds and end zones. We did have one piece of rider news to talk about. Signed an offensive lineman, a Canadian, Dre Doran.
Doran.
But signing a Canadian offensive lineman. So after what we saw this last week with the team and more offensive line injuries over the last couple weeks, can never have enough of these guys around. So hopefully we never see this guy play, but good to have some depth somewhere. I think he was a 5th round pick from the BC Lions this year in training camp. He was at the CFL Combine and was one of the honorable mentions there by the coaching staff as well. So obviously a project, but hopefully he's not thrust into play this year, and this can be a guy who sticks around for a few years.
Yeah, no kidding.
Around the league from this last week, only 2 other games, Ottawa and Hamilton. I'll just say this, Kenny Lawler is the absolute best receiver in this league right now, and it's not particularly close. When everybody knows you're getting the ball and you're constantly still getting it, and teams flat out refuse to cover you, which was weird at the end of the game. But it
didn't matter. Even if they did cover him, that he still made ridiculous catches.
Yeah, that first touchdown catch, that was just a thing of beauty. He's in another zone right now. There's Kenny Lawler, there's maybe that next tier, and then there's everybody else. But that gap between Kenny Lawler and even a guy like Gino Lewis, there's a huge gap there. Kenny Lawler's unreal right now.
What's going to happen first? Bobby Dice getting fired or Trey Ford getting benched?
Ooh.
I can tell you Trey Ford's going to get benched, not this week, but next week. Is it next week we play Edmonton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're going to go to Cody Fajardo against us if Ford stinks it up again. That's the way things work.
Well, they have the bye week this week, so Ford's going to get the game against us, have a career game like he always does against us, and then suck against everybody else.
And then they're going to get stuck with him.
Yeah. It's a tale as old as time. I mean, Bobby Dice, if you're Ottawa, like, what do you do here? Like, everything this team does is the wrong decision. Like, they bought into what Bobby Dice was selling last year, and it got them, a playoff game for the first time in a number of years. And they looked like they were on the up finally. And nope, not this year.
Nope, not it.
They're just bad.
Their only saving grace is how weak the East Division is this year. Montreal with Davis Alexander back maybe gets back on track. Hamilton looks okay. Toronto looks awful. They're still fighting for that 3rd spot. And with how well they performed last year, I don't know that they move on from Bobby Dice very quickly, but they have to do something.
And normally I'd be like, I wouldn't be worried about it, but and I had the old tinfoil hat on when they hired Rick Campbell back in there to be special teams. I'm like, that's an easy move to make. But like that East right now, who really has a claim for third spot? Toronto's 1 win, Ottawa's 1 win. Like
BC, that's who has the claim.
yeah,
on the third spot.
BC or right now Winnipeg too. Like or us. God damn it! Like the way things are going. Like, woof.
But getting
I'm thinking there's a pretty good chance there's going to be a Western
think
crossover. There's 4 good teams in the West, and there's maybe 2 in the
One
East.
One and a half.
Yeah.
And getting to the Trey Ford thing, he was awful. And I know you're not going to get rid of Mark Killam already. That's not going to happen. But his management of quarterbacks is just weird. Trey Ford puts in probably the worst game he's ever played against BC. No thought of putting Cody Fajardo in that game.
They didn't script it this week.
Yeah, but that the week previous, Trey Ford's having probably the best game of his career. Not against the Riders, of course, but outside of that, having the best game of his career, and then they replace him for a couple series with Cody Fajardo. Like, what the hell is going on there? Like, that's just the last time I saw anything like that was the Durant Giles stuff we went through in 08-09, and that does not work out. I know you need 2 quarterbacks to win in the CFL, but not at the same time.
But they only have 1 quarterback. Trey Ford is not a starting quarterback in the CFL. No. He is a running back with a decent arm that is exciting to watch when he's on. But when he's not, it's terrible football. And right now, the Edmonton Elks cannot afford terrible football. The way that fan base is moving, they need wins and they need good football. And Trey Ford doesn't give you that.
19 wins since 2021. Not good.
No. I mean, I like seeing Edmonton suffer, but ultimately it's not good when their fans are, the exodus that they've had. So something's got to switch there.
Oh, just switch the name back. They'll all come back, I swear. That's all
Apparently. Yeah. And really, lastly, in the odds and end zones, a weird one. Offensive lineman Ryan Hunter with the Argos. Going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. He was hit while riding a scooter. He was hit by a car. First day back after the bye week here for the Argos. And that's the guy who was given Offensive Lineman of the Year over Logan Ferland last year. So another huge loss for Toronto, but just a super weird one that hopefully he is okay and he gets back sooner, because you don't like seeing anything like that happen.
No, and here's the worst part. I was one of 2 minds on this one. One, I was like, it's like the bear riding the scooter at the circus. Just a big man on a little bike. And then my other one was, unfortunately, went to Ben Fairbrother, of the former rider, who was playing for was coaching, the Edmonton Huskies last year.
Yeah.
And got in a motorcycle accident. So, and he passed away. So I am glad to hear that Ryan is obviously going to make a full recovery. It sucks he's got to miss a couple of games, but it could have been a lot worse when a guy on a bike hits someone in a car, or vice versa. Bad things can happen.
And this is the thing. You need guys like Ryan Hunter in this league. I mean, he was the most outstanding offensive lineman for a reason. You don't want to see guys like that out for long periods of time, and especially not for off the field issues like this. It's tough. At some point you got to feel for the Argos fan base. They're suffering a wee bit this year, but with 2 Grey Cup wins in 3 years, I think they'll be all right.
All right, Riders, Lions, time for the enemy preview presented by Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas. Saturday at 5 p.m. Hopefully you guys can do it. I can't watch the game. I'm at work. I work until like 8:30, so I will not see the game. I'm leaving my phone not at home because I do need it for work, but I'm not looking at anything. I'm going to put in headphones, whatever I need to do. I'm calling
BS on that one. I guarantee you're going to be in the Piffles. You're going to be in the Piffles chat. I know you
need to do that with live sports. It's like, if I know the game is on, I have to look. I'm going to do my best to not. because
I'm going to send the most annoying and consistent, terrible spoilers that have nothing to do with the game itself. Just random spoilers that don't actually happen, or maybe they do. You won't know till you watch.
By God, that's Keith Tostin's music.
that would be funny.
Once
But
he finally get his chance.
are you gonna buy that helmet?
God, no. For $500?
Keith Tostin's game worn helmet is up for grabs on Facebook Marketplace.
Which game? There's like three you can choose from.
Yeah, all of
I don't
them.
know. He picture matched it, so who knows? But $500, give me a break. Oh.
But the plan is for you guys to still do a live post game with your thoughts. Maybe bring in a special guest, see what you guys can wrangle through. Most importantly, I won't be there, so
Replacement Steve?
That's maybe. Give him a call.
Jeff, have your people call our people.
This game against the Lions, is it a must win? I know the team's 4-1, but hear me out. I think it is a must win because apathy is a very real thing. It's huge here in Riderville. The last few years, we've seen our team get out to great starts, 22, 23, 24, great starts. And then after that, they were awful. At least last year, they had that 7-game winless skid, 6-1, and then they started winning again once everybody got back from being hurt, basically. But right now, fans expect this team to start well and then suck. 4-2 is still going to be a solid record should they lose this game, but you're going to lose a lot of fans for the rest of the year if they lose this game, especially if they have remotely close to another effort like they did last week. So for that reason, I think this game is a must win to get back on track with the way that the defense has been giving up all these yards, the soft zone defense. It needs to be last week's game against the Stamps needs to be the anomaly. It cannot become a pattern. If it becomes a pattern for another game here, you're going to see a lot of Rider fans jump off the wagon and just whatever the rest of the way. They'll become less invested. And for that reason, I do think it's a must-win game.
Well, I definitely think you need to put that marker down like right now. You can't have a prolonged losing skid, even if it is 3-4 games. Like you need to go, okay, that was a bad game. We refocused. We got our crap together, and we're going to make a statement right now. I wouldn't even, don't get me wrong, I don't want them to lose, but even if they lost a hard-fought battle at a away game in BC, because Lord knows those BC games are never kind to us either.
We just relived the 2004 one.
Screw you, Duncan O'Manning. A-hole.
Hey, I still remember that game where we were up by like 10 with 3 minutes left and blew it. But the fact remains is like they got to make a statement. This game go on. That wasn't us last week. That was the delay. That was some BS argument, whatever it is. They got to go. We got punched in the mouth, and now we're going to hit back. And BC's in their way, so they got to hit BC.
The biggest thing to me is we're going to be 6 weeks into the season, and the Riders have a chance to win the season series against a potential threat to a playoff spot. This is I don't know if it's a must win, but it is absolutely a must compete. But if last week's game was a huge game, this one is equally as big. You have to stop the slide before we see it. We're so used to these 7-game stretches that have become commonplace that you just expect it. And we don't want that. We need to see a legitimate performance that we know this team can put forwards. But I can't go as far as saying a must win.
Like in the standings, it's not a must win by any means. I'm just talking apathy with the fans.
I think you have a little bit of grace, but not a whole lot.
I'm with Greg though.
Start to see that 3-4 game slide, and you really start to worry. 2 games in the CFL happens.
I think if they the way they lost last game, and if they lose this game, I think you're going to have a lot of people questioning whether or not they want to go watch them against Edmonton the following week. And that's not good. And that's definitely not something the Riders want either for money line wise and all that stuff. So they definitely need to at least make an appearance this game and not wait until the third quarter start airing it out.
Yeah, it's got to be right off the bat. I'm with you, Greg. It has to be a statement game, and it's got to start right from the opening whistle. We thought that was going to happen against Calgary with the interception. I thought that was a statement right off the bat, and then nope.
It was just not a good one.
It was more of an omen, really.
But this game, we're going to get Nathan Rourke instead of Jeremiah Mazzoli. So this game is going to be a lot different than what we saw just a couple weeks ago when the Riders dominated BC in the second half and put that game away. With Nathan Rourke having that hell of a game that he had against Edmonton, what does this defense need to do differently to throw him off? Because he'll pick up, just like Vernon Adams, he'll pick apart this zone defense.
I've got a suggestion, but I want to whisper so BC doesn't hear it. Cover Justin McInnis.
That was the first thing I thought of with when I saw it. I didn't catch the BC Edmonton game. I had to watch the highlight packs and look at the stats after. The first thing I thought of was, whoa, Rourke was on one. And McInnis really didn't do much in that game.
Nope.
Oh, against us, who just gave up 425 yards passing. Yeah, McInnis had 200 yards against us last year in a single game. Yeah, that's going to be the target this week.
Yeah, because Keon Hatcher, 130 yards, Stanley Berryhill, 80, Javon Catoy.
He's turned into a really good receiver. Berryhill.
Berryhill or Catoy? Oh, yeah, Berryhill's really good. Actually, I had him on my fantasy team last week. Sneaky good and was cheap. I don't see that happening this week. So,
I think there's a bigger key than stopping Justin McInnis, and it's stopping James Butler. He has been an absolute beast for them the last few weeks, and I think one key for us, I think the big key for us is getting Caleb Sanders back in our interior, because there's been a shift since he went out 2 games ago, where all of a sudden we're letting up 120 plus yards rushing a game. That was unheard of the first 3 games of the year. So getting him back is a big one. And I think that's where they have to key off. And, of course, covering the entire middle of the field might be a good recommendation in general. But
not let Justin McInnis burn us. Yes.
I'm glad you brought up Caleb Sanders, because that's not something that we've actually mentioned on this show. But since they've gone to the 3 defensive tackles and having 6 ends,
yep.
I think they're still running 9 D linemen on the last game roster. But since they've lost Sanders, since he's had to sit out, that middle has been gashed in the run game. And we're seeing less pressure from Micah Johnson and Mike Rose. I didn't hear their names at all. Micah Johnson had to play last week, but you're not hearing Mike Rose's name. And something's got to get in the middle here. So Caleb Sanders was back at practice in full, listed in full on Tuesday. So hopefully that's they can get him back on the roster.
Yeah, but knowing our luck, they'll sit Sod and put Sanders in.
Yeah, probably. But looking at the injury update, and this is of course just off the first day of practice for the Riders, so I'm not going to make too much of a couple of these, but some interesting things on the injury report. First, we'll start with Roland Milligan and Marcus Sayles. Both did not participate on Tuesday. Milligan with the back, Sayles with the hip. I'm going to attribute these more to vet days.
Yeah, I think so.
If this becomes a thing where they're not practicing on Wednesday and then Thursday in the closed practice, there's nothing going on. Yeah, call me concerned then. But right now, I'm not too worried about these guys. I think it's just a vet day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know with Roland Milligan, he did go down injured during the Calgary game. So him being out concerns me a little bit. But like you said, if he comes back, it's going to be the Wednesday practice that really tells us all about our defensive backfield. But, oh, Lord, if we lose 2 more guys back there.
Well, and that's with Tavon Campbell. He was listed as limited, but was reported as not being out there. So if you have Campbell, Milligan, Sayles out, oh, yikes. I can't see that being the case, but getting Tavon Campbell back would be huge, obviously. We were looking forward to seeing Antoine Brooks, and now I don't really want to see Antoine Brooks after what we saw last week. Maybe that was his Marcus Sales game, have a bad game, and then, the rest of them are great going forward.
Hey, if he can be an all-star after that game, there you go.
But I think getting Tavon Campbell back would be huge, not just for the defensive backfield, but the ratio in general, because you can flip it back to starting another American on the offensive line with Peyton Collins coming back, and he was limited in Tuesday's practice, but all of a sudden, if you can get an American, even Nick Jones, if he's ready to go on that O-line again, that's when we've seen the best success from this offensive line, is when Fry was the sixth lineman and you have the Americans on the O-line. So getting Tavon, and the only way that's going to happen is if Tavon Campbell's back. So it's almost imperative that he's back to me. So that's going to be something to watch. Mario Alford, talked about him to start the show, did not practice with the hip injury. So I'm going to assume that he's probably not going to be playing this game. That injury looked like it was more than just one.
It's pretty
half.
bad.
Yeah. So what that does
Dre
for the return
Day.
Yeah, what that does for the return game, is it Myers? Is it McRae coming off? So that'll be interesting to see what they do there with the roster. And then we get to the receivers, and we teased this earlier. What do you, and this is because of Joe Robustelli's big game, what do you do with the receivers? Sam Emilis was listed as full. Sean Bain Jr. was limited, but looks like he's coming back. Maybe not this game, but healthy, right? Mm-hmm. What do you do with the receivers here? Because you can't take Robustelli off. You're not taking Dante Myers off. You're not taking Keyshawn Johnson off. Sam Emilis gets his spot back, obviously.
Mims obviously, the first one, Mims is off, obviously.
Yeah, Emilis comes on for Mims.
That's the easy one. Yeah,
that's the easy one. And then it depends on what you do with your ratio. One of Robustelli, Johnson, or Myers is going to be on the outside looking in to get Bain Jr. on. Well, that's simple.
But has Sean Bain Jr. been passed?
I would say yes, but at the same time, you got to see what he's got. Or I don't know. I don't know what the answer is on that one.
I don't know who you take off to get him back on, and even then, that's assuming that Tavon Campbell is able to start too, right? If you're able to flip the ratio.
But like I said, even then, so it'd be DDB coming off then. You would think, for Sean Bain at slot back. But yeah, you got to be able to flip the roster. You got to flip the ratio somewhere. So,
I mean, having the depth is great when everybody's healthy. But some tough decisions there are going to have to be made. You can't sit Robustelli. I mean, maybe Dante Myers is the guy that has to sit, but I'm not so sure that actually happens with how dynamic he is as a receiver.
And I think if he's your backup option at returner, he's not the guy that you sit. But again, who else? It's on the flip side, whoever's in there, one of the guys is going to come out on game day and put up 100+ yards. That's just how this offense works.
Well, and this is the biggest problem with not having three Canadian offensive linemen, because that's usually where you build out. And if everyone is healthy and the way Johnson has been playing, we had the option to have 4, and then it definitely wouldn't be an issue, and we would have been fine. But it's Campbell getting healthy is the main thing, and then they can shuffle from there. But
yeah, it just affords the team so much more flexibility to get Tavon Campbell back. So that'll be, to me, that's the main one to watch this week anyway. And we'll see what happens with that.
If you would have told me in the preseason that Tavon Campbell would be the cog that stirs our ratio, I mean, I get it given his status, but my Lord, how much relies on his health?
Well, you lose 2 all-star Canadian
Yeah.
offensive lineman, it kind of puts you in a little bit of a bind.
Throws things off. Yeah.
Just a touch.
Well, Riders BC on Saturday afternoon. I'm expecting a close one. I really am. Who's going to win? Well, maybe it's just a flip of the coin, which brings us
Oh.
to Piffles Picks.
Piffles Picks.
Well, folks, when you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time.
So
The
here's
fact that random
It is
chance.
It
It's
is
the
the
only way-
inanimate carbon rod
I
of
was going to say,
CFL
here's your
Pick'em.
Simpsons reference, and Steve
Yeah.
got one in there. Remember the episode where Lisa's doing the science project and she has a hamster and she goes, "Is my brother dumber than a hamster?" Is Piffles podcast dumber than a coin flip? We're going to find out, because last week, Greg, you and I, we were dumber than a coin flip. So if it happens again, oh my goodness. So Steve, you go 3-0 last week, all by flipping the coin.
The
Greg
coin
and I
went
both
3-0.
go 1 and 2.
The coin went 3-0. Do not give any of that to Steve.
Sure, fair.
And he's on mute.
You're on mute there, bud. I don't think Steve knows what he's doing.
There you go.
Amount of tech problems I'm having. My dock keeps deciding to disconnect at random, which throws everything off. Which is why you'll notice my face goes dark, because my monitor goes dark, and then everything. Yeah, it's a joy. The IT guy on the show, everybody.
Anyway, we're going to see if you can build off that 3-0. You lose 10 straight games, and then you flip a coin because it couldn't get any worse, and you go perfect. Unbelievable. So we'll try it again this week, see what happens. Week 7 starts Thursday, Toronto at Montreal. Still no Chad Kelly for Toronto. Steve, do you want to take a guess at this one?
I'm going to go to Montreal 4.5.
Well, I already have all my picks typed in here. You guys can see exactly what's in there in the document that we have. I have Montreal.
I think Montreal's an easy one.
Well,
which is which? Which is which?
home, visitor,
All right.
visitor.
Toronto.
Too late for me to change my pick now?
But this is the way it started last time, too. I like to point out. He went up against us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Calgary at Winnipeg. And I know quite a few of the CFL writers are on Calgary for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that it's Winnipeg by 1.5.
I believe I saw the spread on this one. I think it was Winnipeg 3.5.
Winnipeg, it's 3.5 now. It started at 4.5.
Started at what?
4.5.
Started at
4.5.
4.5. And the game's in Winnipeg.
The game is
Winnipeg.
in
All right,
Winnipeg.
rematch.
Calgary just dusted them in the Stampede Bowl, though.
Let's see.
Calgary.
Greg?
I'm following the coin on this one. I think even if Calgary doesn't win, they're going to cover that 4.5.
I just think Winnipeg at home. And the last time we saw them, they got that beat down in the Stampede Bowl. This is a team that doesn't get beat down twice in a row. Not by the same opponent either. They'll make the adjustments. And I think Winnipeg wins.
I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping that Calgary go in there and shut up those fans. I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't hate that, but I'll also, it's ABC, man. I'll never pick Calgary for anything.
I don't know why you're arguing. The coin is already spoken.
Saskatchewan at BC. Steve, do you want to take a guess on the spread on this one?
Saskatchewan 2.5.
BC 1.5.
Saskatchewan 1.5.
Uh,
It's actually down to a 1. It's basically a pick 'em at this point.
I think that's fair.
Sorry, Rider fans.
BC. You better be wrong this week, Steve.
I hope I go 3-1 and
you-
that one's wrong.
If you get another Rider game wrong, well, you got it right last time, but picking against the Riders and and they lose, like, we can blame those losses on you. I hope you know that.
I think that's fair. That's fair. So the pick'ems are the coin, but the losses on the Riders are on me.
Yes.
Yes.
I got it. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm with you.
Because if you were to make the picks yourself, you would have picked the Riders.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Like this is the Schrodinger's cat of making picks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have the Riders.
So do I. I'm on the Riders in this one.
And the final game, Hamilton at Ottawa. I'll guess that it's Hamilton 5.5.
You guys aren't going to get this. There's no way.
Hamilton and Ottawa?
Yeah.
7.5?
Hamilton 1.5.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure what the bettors have been, or the line makers have been watching.
Hasn't
the last
moved.
couple weeks.
Has not moved. Like, if
It's
I
because
am,
everybody's too shocked to bet on it.
like, did Bo Levi Mitchell lose a leg? Like, did he get hit by a car?
Yeah. I'm at the point. I'm probably going to throw money on that one. Actually, yeah, that's an easy Hamilton one for me.
Yeah, Hamilton. Good luck, coin.
Where is it, in Ottawa or in Hamilton?
It's in
Ottawa.
Balls.
Yes, he's getting that one wrong.
And with that,
If
all four
this
different
one is
than,
right,
than me,
if
Steve.
Hamilton Ottawa is right, this coin has magical powers. I'm just saying.
And Bob Dice lives another day because they got their bye week after this game. So,
I don't like my odds this week of
perfection.
of doing anything.
Well, I hope you're wrong on all four, because that would mean I go 4-0, and I need to get back to that after an abysmal 1-2 week last week for me.
I thought last week was great.
I am proud that you finally got a game right.
Right?
Once again, he did nothing.
It's true.
Yeah, better than Steve.
I mean, it couldn't have been worse. It physically was impossible
Yes.
to have been worse than me. I got to take the wins when I can get them.
Yeah, if they're so few and far between, right?
Exactly.
Well, that'll do it this week here on the Piffles podcast. I totally blanked on. I was going to say something else, but then I totally blanked on it. But yes, I think that's going to do it for us this week on the Piffles podcast. Again, join us, well, you guys, after the game on Saturday. I'm going to rip home and watch the game in an hour. I hope I'm going to fast forward through the junk and try and really, really condense that game down, because I think I have to work the next morning too. So looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say on the post-game show. So tune in. We'll do that live on YouTube, and see who we can get as a guest to replace me. Maybe that could be the future replacement of me on here, because I know you guys are just itching to get me out of here. Well, some people are itching to get me out of here. The loudmouth of the show, Greg, you need to ditch us here. So maybe this is your chance.
You numpty. You numpty.
Yeah. Piffles podcast brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sass Drive in Regina. Special thanks, of course, to Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience, Bigfoot Vodka, and Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas for their support, making the show possible. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcasts, watching on YouTube or SaskTel Max TV on demand. We'll talk to you next week. Go Riders, go. This is Ghost Behind Your Mind by Tyler Gilbert.
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.